Thank you, TCAM. Good evening, everybody. My name is Andrew Shepard, Chair of the Townsend Planning Board. I call this meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. I'd like to have a roll call of all the board members present.
Cindy King is present.
Carol Haas is present.
Rick King present.
Barbie Therian present.
And Andrew Shepard present. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank all of our veterans, those who are currently serving here and abroad, their families, and those who contribute their time to public service. I think we owe them our gratitude. This meeting is being recorded and will be uploaded to the Town of Townsend YouTube channel. So 1.4 is to review and approve the meeting minutes from 6/1/26. Did everyone have a chance to look at them or any questions?
I move to approve the meeting minutes for June 1st, 2026.
I'll second it.
Motion, second, any discussion? All right, roll call vote.
Cindy King, aye.
Carol Haas is yes.
Rick King, yes.
Barbie Therian, yes.
And Andrew Shepard, yes. Okay. So we have a public hearing at 6:45 p.m. We will skip 2.1 for now. And we can go to 3.1, which would be to appoint a new planning board member representative to serve on the Community Preservation Committee. I believe we actually have the chairman in our midst.
Yeah, well, we had a meeting and Lance McNally realized that his term had been up on the board, on this board, and then he was appointed by this board to be on the Community Preservation Committee.
Okay.
So that was
So can you do
an oversight on everybody's part, so we really need to have this committee, planning board, appoint another representative.
Can you be the representative?
I can't be it. I'm already chairman of that.
He's already, what are you, the?
I'm from Cemetery and Parks.
Oh, that's right, okay.
Oh, okay.
We have some meeting minutes of the Community Preservation Committee in our folder, if you had a chance to read them. Do we have interest in the committee in being part of it? At one point I was interested and I don't mind doing it, but I don't feel I have a lot of free time. And if somebody else was also interested, I don't mind that either.
I'm already on a lot of other things. I'm already MRPC and
Sure,
JTC person, and then I'm on another board.
What days do you meet?
We meet the third Thursday of every month. And right now, it appears to be we're meeting at 6 o'clock in the evening.
And once we start the finance committee meetings, we usually do Tuesdays and Thursdays.
I don't mind doing it.
It's a pretty interesting, it's really nice to be involved with, you know.
Because we'll probably start the finance committee meetings sometime after yeah, we do Tuesdays and
Do
Thursdays.
we have to appoint a member of the planning board, or can we, is it one of those that you can appoint someone else who's representing the planning board?
I did want to do that, but I don't know. I know it's a.
I know when it was set up, it was supposed to be from a member from every department.
That's right. That's unique about this one, because you're actually representing
The town,
the needs of the board that you're representing, yeah.
exactly. So the idea, the concept was that the members of the preservation committee would report back to the different departments, and the idea was whatever the departments wanted to do, projects they wanted to do, which were not in their typical budget, that would be a place where the community preservation funds could be used. It's all pretty well explained on the website, through the town.
Hello. Good evening.
When's the next meeting?
So,
It's August 20th, 6 p.m. looks like.
yeah, it's gonna be August 20th, the next meeting.
I'll do it.
Good.
I'm out of my mind, but at least for the time being. If nobody else is,
Well,
if you wanna do it, take it. But
Well, see, once I start, finance always meets Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I couldn't do Thursday meetings.
It's interesting to be involved with, and a lot of the work right now is not that heavy. We have to get some things ready for the town meeting. And we're reviewing the application process, so that will be all.
what you're doing now is the heavy lifting, trying to figure out.
Right,
Once you have the administrative stuff set up, it's easy.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Can I come back in 3 months?
no.
Yeah, you're right.
This
Once you get the processes
I've
set
been
up.
watching your meetings and
Yeah,
All right, motion to nominate Cindy King as a representative for the planning board to the community preservation committee. I move.
So moved.
So moved. I'll second.
Okay.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Carol Hofstas, yes.
Fred King, yes.
Robert Duran, yes.
Andrew Shepherd, yes.
reluctant, yes.
All right.
Welcome aboard.
Oh, God.
We have a lot of active members that are carrying a lot of the load.
I saw that. Oh, Maria.
I wouldn't be chairman if it couldn't happen that way.
Okay, 3.2 is to meet Geraldine Bozikas, candidate for associate planning board member position. Welcome, Geraldine. So as you guys know, I guess a good segue is, Lance has stepped down or his term's expired, so we have an opening. Geraldine put in, for the position. We've got her, form or application in planning board. And I think if we have any questions, I think, glad to have you. Thank you for being here. Myself, I know we've talked about in the past, sometimes the effectiveness of the position or trying to broaden the position. And I don't know, we certainly have our hands full as of late, but certainly maybe we try to make sure that doesn't fall off our to-do list. So, open it up for, Geraldine or any comments from.
Well, Geraldine used to be on the planning board.
Yeah.
When I first started on the planning board, I was the associate member and Geraldine was a member.
5 years.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I'd like to come back.
Okay.
I know, well, of course, I'm new to the planning board, and just in my short time here, we discovered that we had a quorum problem with people, missing meetings, and then I was new, and so I couldn't make decisions on some of the things that were already opened up. And one of the things that I learned anyway was the need for the associate member, even though we can't just call you in out of the dugout when we need a vote. You have to attend all the meetings that are for any public hearing in which you're going to participate at any point.
Well,
So,
that was one of my points that I was trying to say, that when I started off as the associate, and I did attend every meeting, so I was able to step into, when they needed me. And what they did, and Lance was the chair at the time, and what they did, if someone was absent, they would appoint me for the evening, then I could go.
great.
But I did attend almost all meetings all the time.
Are there any other nominations?
Nope. Normally, we have a lot of people banging down our door to join, but
I'm sorry?
normally we have a lot of people banging down our door.
I noticed that, yeah.
And,
We're a tough crowd.
Yeah.
And I've learned that these people are really tough. So, you know,
Except for our shoulders.
and these lawyers in the corner are tough too.
I don't know if we need to vote or if we're just meeting you.
I think we have to, well, we have to make a recommendation. Yeah, I mean, the select board has to appoint her, or do we?
I think it's up to the select board.
Yeah. So
But I
can
think we
make
need to make a
Was the
recommendation.
position posted?
I believe so. I think it's posted for
It was.
45 days, I think.
So you just, yeah, we make a recommendation to the select board and then
Right, yeah.
the select board then appoints it.
So
Okay.
I move that we recommend Jerry Limbazikis for the associate planning board member to the select board for appointment.
And I'll second
Okay, motion second, any discussion?
Well, considering we met all the applicants.
All right, roll call vote.
Cindy King, yes.
it. Carol Hoff says yes.
Brett King, yes?
Robert Theron, yes.
Andrew Shepherd, yes.
Thank you.
All right.
And when will that take?
Oh, boy, that is out of our hands.
I know. So should I'm just gonna start coming to the meetings just to be informed. Is that all right?
I think that's
For
fine.
the committee?
I think that's fine.
Well, it's open meeting
I think the
anyways.
select
Well,
board,
open meeting anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to ask permission.
Sure.
the select board may very well meet before our next meeting anyway. They're just not, they're being quiet about when they're posting it.
So you meet on the,
Mondays, normally it's every other Monday
every other Monday?
of the month.
6:30.
Somewhat dependent on the volume of work that we have in front of us.
Our next meeting's at 10.
Right now, we've got the 10th, August 10th, August 24th, September 14th, and September 28th on there.
Yeah, you often hear that argument.
Hey, Henry A., we can hear you in the background. Thank you. Okay.
I'll get the okay on the screen.
All right. So, we've only got 3 minutes, but 3.3 is to review the draft planning board application relevant to work in floodplain overlay district. So we had some,
Did you see this? This is, we're just approving the application, I guess.
I'm not sure we'll get through all of this at this moment, but we can start.
Okay, just a form.
It's just a, I think we're just approving a draft form that I'm assuming Beth created.
That, I don't know. I know there was an email between Beth and our building inspector about he's trying to have a process, a
Okay.
strong process that's interdepartmental.
Okay.
I don't know if it was just Beth that put this together or if they both did.
Looks comprehensive.
She's got a lot of references here.
I think what I'd like to do, or I don't have any immediate rejections or reactions to it, but I always like to try to be nimble as best we can. And if we, which isn't always smooth in a public setting, but if we try it, we put it out and we realize something's not working very well, then we agree and we look at it and try to change it.
Since I don't know what, I mean, I haven't followed through our bylaw to make sure that each box is checked. It looks nice, but I didn't check against the
If
bylaw.
I'm not mistaken, if we don't approve it, it jeopardizes people's potential to get flood insurance.
But we've already approved the floodplain.
Oh, so this is.
This is just the application that someone doing work within the new floodplain
Oh, okay,
would have to.
Just a special permit application.
okay, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
so it's
I don't think there's anybody
I think it's-
knocking on the door to fill this out.
But it's like a little checklist.
Do we want to approve it tentatively? Just say that
Right. and if
fine,
it's-
and then pending any
Well-
future edits, we can come back and
Well,
review it again.
because until you actually.
Just in
use
case somebody comes in between.
Well, yeah, and then after you use it a couple of times, you might find you need to tweak it.
Almost always.
So, yeah, pretty much always.
Brett, do
So-
you have any, or, I'm sorry, go ahead, Carol. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine. I mean, yeah, I mean, we could approve it and it's always probably after it's used a few times, you're probably gonna expect some tweaks to it. Say, I forgot something or this doesn't work or
Yeah, that's
something,
okay.
something, but
Applicants will be complaining that
We'll get good feedback
there's something
quickly.
conflicting or
yeah,
they don't understand the question.
We won't know till we actually get in there, I guess.
Yeah.
yeah.
We're a minute over, but Brett, do you have any comments?
I actually didn't look at this.
Okay.
I didn't have time to look at this.
Maybe, we'll jump right into our public hearing and then
Okay,
circle back to this one.
all right.
Okay. So there, okay. So 6:45 PM, the continuation of public hearing, 0 Seaver Road, application for definitive subdivision approval and associated major stormwater management permit. I'd like to introduce the board members.
Cindy King?
Carol Hofstas.
Brett King?
Robert Therian.
And Andrew Shepard. There's a public sign-in sheet somewhere circulating. If you haven't had a chance.
Right here.
Excellent. Everyone got it? Yeah. Okay. No, I think we're okay. Thank you, guys. Cindy, you have the legal ad you can read?
I do not, I don't think. I didn't bring my computer, so I don't even have access to it. Do we need to read the legal ad again? Isn't this a continuation?
It is a continuation. It's on my checklist, but I guess I don't know technically.
Oh,
I think we.
legal notice of public hearing, planning board regarding Seaver Road extension plan corrected date. I don't know,
I think it's,
I don't have it.
let me pull it up. So this is the original legal notice in accordance with MGL Chapter 40A, Section 11, the subdivision control law, MGL Chapter 41, Section 81K through 81GG, including Section 81T, Townsend General Bylaws, Chapter 85, Chapter 175, Article 5, the Townsend zoning bylaw, and the planning board subdivision rules and regulations. The planning board will hold a public hearing on Monday, May 11th, 2026 at 6:45 PM in the Select Board Chambers, Memorial Hall, 272 Main Street, Townsend, Mass. And via Zoom on 2 applications submitted by Belvedere Capital LLC for approval of a definitive plan of a subdivision entitled Definitive Plan for Seaver Road Extension for a proposed 3-lot single-family residential subdivision and roadway extension of 560 feet located at 0 Seaver Road, Townsend. Assessors map 23, block 4, lot 0, parcel ID 23-4-0. And a major stormwater management permit for the associated land disturbance activities and stormwater management system. Additional information is available at the town clerk's and land use office. Zoom links are posted on the town website, and we have subsequently continued this hearing. Okay, I think that's okay. So we have some somewhat new information we've received. We have Wayne here in person on council. I believe some neighbors. We've received the peer review, the 3rd peer review letter from Hoyle and Tanner. And I think it's appropriate where we probably start there. And maybe we invite Wayne to, or I guess we'll start with David. He wrote the letter and then we'll open it through one. David, if you don't mind, talking about your peer review letter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So yeah, I have my peer review letter here that I sent towards the end of last week. The majority of the comments in there refer to waivers. There's several waivers that have been requested. For the most part, we defer to the board on those waivers. We agree with the majority of the waivers and defer to the board. There are a few in there that should be included in the order of conditions should the board decide to accept them. And then there was, I think, one or two that we defer entirely to the board and other respective boards as far as making a decision one way or the other. And that just has to do with past experience where whether or not it's an engineering decision or determination on our part, there are certain boards who like to weigh in, like the highway department on specifically in this case, the exemption from testing every 200 feet within the road. We've had communities where, regardless of what the opinion is of either engineer for what's been done on either side of the road, they still want to see the testing done within the roadway itself. And so commonly for us, we just defer that to the boards to determine. We just back up the input of the applicant and say, we recognize what they presented, but leave it up to the board to determine whether or not they want to accept that or not. Everything else, they answered all the technical questions. They've addressed all our technical concerns, and everything is satisfactory in that department. So things, minor edits to plans, inclusion of some comments by us and some comments by other boards with regards to things like pavement thickness, and things of that nature. So all of those comments from us have been addressed, as well as other boards that we're aware of.
All right, thank you, David. I think we can, you know what, let's get the peer or the comments from the other town departments, and then we'll open up to you. So do you have those in front of you, Cindy? Maybe. I got them right here. Okay. We got this. I think it was the second peer review response letter was sent to the fire department, the highway department, and the building commissioner for further input on the content of the response to the peer review letters and the revised plans. And this is some of the comments we received back. An email from Robert Garside, our building commissioner, on July 23rd. Said this appears to be the same scenario / configuration as was presented last July and approved by zoning. See attached determination letter dated July 14th, 2025. I have no issue with the cul-de-sac turnaround, and the areas and frontage are sufficient for the RB2 district. Bob Garside, building commissioner. And he has his letter in there from July 14th. This is also an email from Bob Garside on July 23rd. He says, I spoke with Captain Mike Grimler this morning, and the fire department is okay with the design of the turnout as drawn. I am sure he will respond regarding the other issues. And I don't believe we received a response. And then the final one. This is from Jim Smith. I believe this is our highway superintendent. I believe this reiterates the comments he's already made. Highway superintendent, binder course thickness, comment A, 8.A, 2.5 inches previously requested by highway. As past practice, this should be the standard for this project, 2.5 inch binder with 1.5 inch wear course top layer. This is what highway department standard is, and we do a full reclamation of the roadway. When we do a full reclamation. Soil testing waiver along the proposed roadway, comment 6, is my recommendation that the soil testing along the proposed roadway is conducted where the notes indicate that the roadway may become a public way. Our roads are only as good as our base, and any data that can be provided will only be beneficial in the future. I would request copies of the data testing to be sent to my email, jsmith@townsendma.gov. And 3, any additional roadway or public way comments. I believe this was previously discussed, but I would like to see the paving slips showing the tonnage in between courses, or copies can be sent to my email. Any list is email. Okay. Dane, open it up to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, yeah, I'm hearing Mr. Smith's comments, and David's comments. That's consistent, you know, typically with when a road becomes accepted as a public way. And just so the board knows, we requested a waiver because we didn't want to further disrupt the activity back and forth to 50. But again, we're only looking at half day worth of testing. And that will be posted to be informed. So with that, I wanted to give the board an update as to where we were with, or where we are with conservation. As you know, we were going to meet with them this week. We did. That was on the 22nd. And as it turns out, they opened the public hearing and then they continued the public hearing. The reason they continued the public hearing is that one of the abutters, in particular the abutter number 38, was not informed of the public hearing. During some dialogue I was having with the chair, they heard that not only was he not informed, but the mailing never went out to him. So
I'm sorry,
the mailing never went out to them. So
for the conservation.
before the Conservation Commission. So typically, you know, on something like that, as I was having a dialogue with the chair, typically for something like that, you could, if the mailing had gone out and he had yet to receive it, one of the ways to address it if they wanted to proceed with the public hearing was to have the public hearing and then the abutter review the information after that. But because it hadn't even gone out, they chose to continue, which we agreed. So it makes perfect sense. So with that said, as David had indicated, we checked up all the boxes that they requested, so the changes, and so the plans are at that point. I did receive a couple letters that had gone out to the town from number 38 and number 40. And if it's okay, I'd like to address some of those just to kind of clear the air on some things. So I'm going to start with number 38. Number 38 had raised some comments about the process here. We're going through the definitive process, and that at one time, Seaver Road was a public way all the way through, and then chose to be in the portion of the road. The comment was also that, you know, perhaps we revisit that section of Seaver Road. They had to revert that decision, reverse it. So, not sure why they went to the private way at that time, but from the client's perspective, it would have been a home run. We wouldn't be here. It would have been 15 minutes with you folks with an A&R, we're done. Not only that, but I've heard comments about the stormwater system being over-designed. Not over-designed. It's designed in accordance with the local stormwater bylaws. Very stringent on the end. So they're designed in accordance with those standards. If I could have designed a smaller system, I would have loved to have done that. Would have saved them a ton of money and me some headaches and less clearing. But it is what it is. The regulations dictate that. Been doing this for over 40 years. You know, and over these 40 years, the regulations have just expanded. So with that said, number 38 had made the comment on that. And like I said, I would love to be doing an A&R here. We would have finished this a long time ago and the building permits would be applied for at this point. That's not the case. There was a question from number 40, a couple things that come up on number 40. One of the things that have come up, so before I get into that, I had a conference call at the beginning of this process. It was either before we filed the preliminary or just after filing the preliminary plan. I had a conference call with Jay Lee and Michael Sidney here tonight. Part of that discussion was the 3/4 foot wide strip. They referenced that. And based on what I read in the letter, I don't think there's a clear understanding of what's occurring here, and that, the letter kind of states that this is more complex than it needs to be. It's following the letter of the law. So basically, the 3/4 foot strip, because that's in play, based on your regulations, something we prefer not doing. If it was something that the board would be willing to grant a waiver to, that'd be wonderful. But I would caution the board from doing so. And again, I've sat on boards for 35 years now. You do that, you set a precedent. That's not a good position for a board to be in, setting a precedent. Okay? So in that particular case, unless I would, there's gotta be some good reason for it to be justified, but other than that, kind of a dangerous slope to go down. So with that said, the 3/4 inch strip, they had asked about access over the 3/4 inch strip. I then said, well, let me talk to my client and see what they say. I spoke with David and I spoke with John Mello, and then John said, be happy to do that. We wouldn't have a problem. So that's still in play. That is an arrangement, not between the planning board and the applicant. That's an arrangement between the property owner and the applicant. On our plan, I think there was some confusion about the temporary easements. I'm going to throw a scenario out there. So Belvedere Capital owns the property. When he's all said and done, he says, you know what, I've got too much going on. I've got the guy that approached me, good developer, he wants to buy the property. Okay, so now the guy buys the property. If there are no easements on there, temporary easements for the benefit of the abutters, you come out onto my property, and I understand that there may be some prescriptive rights for them to access their property, but if there are no easements on the property, and they're on my property, I'm telling them to get off my property, and I would have every right in doing so. The temporary easements are for the benefit, and those are located within the layout of the proposed road. That is for the benefit of those homeowners, so that if there's activity going on there, if somebody else owns it, or even better yet, let's say the town doesn't accept it as a public way and remain a private way. They still, if those easements, as part of that process, we could coordinate with people like the abutters like Seaton, and rather than having a 3/4 foot wide easement, it's expanded out across the right of way so that they have access to pass and repass to their driveway. Question came up by Jay Lee about the, I'm not exactly sure what she was getting at, perhaps thinking that I was looking to mislead the town and the board with the location of the driveway in public safety term. That was something I picked up on after Coyle Tanner's first review. Looked to address that. I said, guys, in-house, the engineer, I said, hey, listen, you got this backwards. I said, their driveway, look at the aerial maps, look at this, it comes through here. Meant to make that change at that time, never got to it. She called it out in this letter. When I discussed with the Seidmans the right to pass and repass, it was over that section of the easement. The driveway that showed on our plan, which is the turnout of the fire apparatus, is beyond. So I just wanted to clear the air on that those easements that are proposed are for the benefit of the abutters. They do nothing for these guys. Nothing. The only thing it does is it protects the abutters in the event that somebody else buys the land, or if there's a homeowners association, and maybe there's, you could condition in your decision that those easements become, and I'll defer to Dave on this one, but perhaps they become a permanent easement in the event that that road remains private. That's something that could be considered.
Well, I mean, we're dealing with their council right now.
Yeah.
I just had a conversation with you this afternoon, so,
Okay.
I mean, we're working towards coming to understanding that ultimately probably in the appropriate form, so.
Yep.
So,
Agreed.
that should be good.
Great. Yeah. So again, I mean, I've done this for a long time. I like to work with the community, not against the community. And that's what I think they're doing here. I mean, I could have not shown them here, and they get the Scarsdale surprise at the end when somebody owns it and they can no longer pass and repass. Again, they may have prescriptive rights, but let's say they're in a situation where they need to sell the home and they go in a close, and all of a sudden this white elephant pops up in front of them that delays a closing or possibly loses the sale. I think that's how I look at it. So it's only for their benefit, only for their benefit. And I heard something again, if I could. They're showing 3 lots, 3 houses, but we know something bigger is coming in here. Nothing bigger is coming in. This is it. 3 house lots, that's it. It's these darn rules and regulations that we have to follow. When I look at these rules and regulations from when I started, they've really expanded, they've exploded, but considering some of the hack work that I've seen out there, we need them. We need them. Clients don't like the hair because it costs them more money, but we need them. So, with that said, I have nothing else to add unless we'll get some questions.
Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, I think it's up to us now to have some questions and, review the documents and see, applicability for the bylaws. And see where we're at. So open it up to the board for questions or comments.
Yeah. I just want to get back to that driveway. I just want to,
My engineer got fired for that. I'm only.
oh boy, you don't get jokes in here because somebody's going to think it really happened. So I just want to be clear
Yeah.
that the driveway that is as it exists right now, and probably has for years, is going to be able to continue to be a driveway exactly where it is. And you're taking whatever actions you need to make all the deeded rights so that if and when this project moves forward and goes into future ownerships, that it will be properly documented that that homeowner doesn't have any concern. We don't have to they don't have to revamp their driveway going across their front lawn.
Yep, so as David said, they've spoken with their counsel today, we're gonna continue those conversations. And with that, we'll work with them to address that. But again, like I said, the temporary easements, once the road should the road become accepted as a public way, then they'll go away, because there's no need for it.
But if it remains private for whatever reason,
We would work with them.
but will there be something, when we're done, let's just assume we're gonna approve everything, just assume that.
Mhm.
But, and if the road, whatever the road's gonna be at that time is gonna probably stay that way for a little while anyway. If it stays private for, say, 3 years, I could be exaggerating, but I wanna make sure that the homeowners with that driveway are protected.
So through the chair, if it's for 3 years, so if I'm understanding,
I just grab that time. If that exceeds any timelines, I'm sorry.
So, no, so the question, if I understand the question, if it remains private for 3 years, and then let's say in 3 years, the owner of the road, the private owner of the road, goes to the town and seeks acceptance, that would be the only time that it would no longer be necessary to have the easements, okay? So if it stays private for 3 years with the intent of going to have it accepted as a public way, then those easements get extinguished because now it's a public way and they have the right to pass and repass. And again, my client has also agreed to, working with the Steepmans and providing that access over through 404 West Street. I don't know if that's answered the question, or David could answer.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
the
I think it's very important to note that the plan has a note regarding easement, grants of easements to both 40 and 41, so.
Yeah.
That's on the question that has submitted for approval, so. Ultimately, it's in our, interest as well to continue the dialogue with the Steepmans to come to a conclusion that counsel for each find acceptable. So.
That answer the question?
I think so. I just want to make sure for us, as we're going forward, I don't want to have something lingering
Nope.
and that we're not 100% sure about, that everything's properly documented as we're going forward with this. And so that the public also feels, sometimes I ask, when I'm in meetings of different boards, I like to ask a lot of questions, not just for myself, but so that the public can get some feel for the more information that's out there, even if it's redundant. It's helpful. And then, of course, the abutters are very concerned about this entire project.
So
So,
more information is better than this.
yeah, that's how I feel.
What is the length of the extension that's being requested for the
So
road?
the center line, it's 500 feet. To the end, I think it's 560.
So the extension is for an additional 560?
Okay. And that accommodates the turnaround of the fire department. Fire department.
And do we know the length of the road now?
1,970 feet, something like that, 1,970, I'm guessing. It's in that range, close to 2,000 feet. The turnaround out front, in front of number 38 as well. Interesting to note, one of the comments from Hoyle Tanner was to provide a turnout because one of the driveways, the driveway to lot 2 is deep into the lot. So they raised a concern about fire safety. They said, well, we should provide a turnout on that driveway if the apparatus has to go up the hill. Makes perfect sense. So we had gone in there, provided at 500 feet in the turnout, and then they would continue up to the house site. That turnout was 20 by 40, and there's a little bump out on the other side of the driveway, and we sized it based on the town's fire apparatus to go in, back out, and then make it maneuver. With that said, looking at the turnaround, and that's a 3-point turn. So I look at it as the fire apparatus is there, they get another call, but just address this call, so they've got to get out of Dodge as quick as possible. They make a 3-point turn in the route. The existing driveway turnout on Seaver Road, I would guess is nowhere near that, meeting those dimensions. Not to mention the overhang of the body of the vehicle. Some fire trucks, believe it or not, from the wheels to the bumper is 11 feet. That's incredible, 11 feet. So you need that swing clearance. You need to be able to look back out and have no trees in that area. If I recall, based on what I saw out there, there's not the room to do that. So with that said, my discussion with Captain, I did say with this turnaround, it allows you to go down, address a call, come down, turn around, and head back. So they appreciated that. That it was a good turnaround.
Okay, what else do we have for questions? Carol or Brett?
Looking through our rules and regs, we require a minimum 50-foot right of way on a private or public road. How do we address that? I didn't see any of the engineers pick it up, but
If I could, so in your rules and regs, is that specific to, so typically when there's subdivision, I'll take a look again. Maybe that requires a waiver or going to 50 feet. But typically, we have the area to do that, to go to 50 feet. The existing width is a variable width on Seaver Road. So in following suit with that, we went to 40 feet, really didn't need more than the 40 feet for those improvements. So the 50 feet, there really isn't anything to gain for that layout. A lot of times what you can find is thoroughfares and through streets for 50-foot layout. Cul-de-sacs and ways are typically narrowed down to 40 feet. And so we did this based on the subdivision plan that was also approved at the preliminary stage, which set the stage for this. So when the planning board approved the preliminary plan in 22, we just picked it up and went from there. So that's basically, I look at it like a cake. In 2022, the cake was baked, put on the slab ready for decorating. We have finished off the cake. We put the candles on. So that's basically the definitive process of that. So that was approved as a 40-foot layout back in 2022.
don't you only have 38 feet of frontage?
We do. 37 feet.
How would
Which
you,
caused us to go to the,
how would you get a 50-foot right of way through 37 feet of frontage?
you don't. How do you get 40 foot right of way? No. So the
I
40
know.
foot right of way begins beyond that. Okay, another way to address it is, if it was a town coming through there and they needed to widen their road, they would do a taking. But this is a private entity. So if it was a town, I've been involved in it on my board, where the town has done taking. This is not a town. The town wanted to go through that whole road and meet the town standards and say, we want to make this 50-foot right of way. From the beginning of Seaver Road all the way to the end would be taking. So it'd be a nightmare. It'd be a nightmare. It'd be just a total nightmare. So to answer that question, like I said, a number of communities, I'd have to, and again, I defer to the planning board that the plan is approved. We're just building.
Andrew, I mean, there's nothing we I don't think we can really do about it, but I know the fire truck turning radius works, no doubt. I mean, I see it. Middle of winter, it's not gonna be an 18-foot wide road anymore. That's another big concern of mine,
Yeah.
regardless of who plows it.
So, and that I hear a lot. That I hear a lot. So the town plows it, you know, maybe that's a discussion with the DPW. I totally hear you, totally
I
hear
mean,
you.
I know you meet the requirements.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just,
So I hear you. I don't refute that. If I did, I'd be lying. I'm not going to.
I have, I've looked at all the technical documents that have been prepared here. And it's a very comprehensive program. And I think it's all been professionally created to meet all the needs of a subdivision. However, there are other problems here that are so concerning. So here's the scenario as I see it. The applicant is requesting a lot be subdivided. That lot typically would have been one lot. So that introduces two more properties. Then the other things that bother me is I'm not sure, this is an area I don't feel confident in as to what the town's intent was when they abandoned that roadway, all right? So there's some real legal concerns here, and I don't want to be making a decision that could have legal implications to the town, to abutters, or future homeowners. So the things that come up that I don't have the capability of evaluating is the distinction, the legal distinction between a discontinued road versus an abandoned road. Apparently, there are legal definitions associated with that. And then the question comes about the ownership of the part that was discontinued or abandoned. So, and those are not subjects that a site engineering consultant would be addressing for us. So that is a major concern. And I don't know if this board has any authority at all giving an extension. I don't think we have that authority to give an extension. And then even in the review from the consultant's peer review, it clearly states the applicant intends for the road to be a public way in the future. So that's not a given, there's no guarantee. So I don't know how we can even act on this. We don't have any legal position to you know, to me, this is all subject to town meeting approval. We've already discussed about the quality of the road construction.
If I may?
Yes.
So again, you are correct that you can't vote on it being turning into a public way. That does have to go to town hearing. The point of the private way versus public way is, again, to reiterate what Wayne said, if it was going to be a private way, there would have been an A&R and we'd be done. The intent for it to be a public way comes with it the caveats that obviously, and with what the highway department stated, is there's certain rules that definitely apply if it's the intention is to become a public way, because if it doesn't meet those requirements, there's no chance it will ever be a public way. If it's not, doesn't have the right pavement that they're looking for, if it doesn't have the right inspections that they're looking for, and several other criteria. And so that's why we addressed it within our comments, was that if it's going to be a private way, there's some things that automatically we can let them go on because they don't intend on seeking application for a public way in the future. But because they are going to seek that, then we make sure that all the strings that need to be attached with that for the town's benefit are attached. So yes, you're correct that this board is not voting on whether or not this is going to become a public way. However, this board has assisted in making sure that when the time comes and they want to apply to become a public way, all those caveats are in place for that. Conversely, whether or not you approved it, if the road could still be denied from becoming a public way for one reason or another. There could be some other thing that comes in the future where they say, no, we don't want to accept the road for whatever reason, and it could retain being a private way in perpetuity. So long and the short of it is, yes, the only reason for the mention of the public versus private in this case was for that. And if I may for a moment, I did look back at the Graz Engineering waiver request form from 2021. And at that time, the right-of-way of the road was 40 feet. And the board granted that waiver under condition, it looks like 14. Let me see if I can share my screen.
TCAM, I'm okay with David getting permissions to share his screen, if those have not been shared with him.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So here we have the, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Here we have the waiver request from November 12th of 2021, Graz Engineering, and this is on page 4, item number 14. To waive the requirement of the proposed right-of-way being no less than 40 feet wide, the proposed right-of-way is intended to be variable in width between 35 feet and 37 feet following the previous abandoned right-of-way and bounded by existing stone walls. The board voted as follows, ultimately granting the waivers you can see here. So at that time, the right-of-way was 40 feet, and that waiver was granted. I could continue to look and see if there are other changes, but we did look through the past history of the project in our review to ensure that any question marks like this that came up had been previously addressed. As Wayne said, we wanted to make sure that the stage had properly been set and waivers had been granted or denied in the past. We did find other similar ones here. There were waivers with regards to the trees that weren't granted then that they are reapplying for with further information now. And so we did go through the history to make sure that, again, if there are any questions as far as rules and regulations, bylaws that we felt weren't addressed, that they were addressed previously and didn't need to become rehashed now.
Thank you, David. I did see Wayne.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to address Mr. Ferrington's comments about, right now, if you didn't do the subdivision, you'd have one lot out there. You don't have one. So what you have,
I'm very hard of hearing.
so that the property out there,
Yes.
your comment was that, we're looking at a subdivision road to create 3 lots, but have that versus the 1 lot that's out there.
Mhm.
You don't have a lot. What you have is a parcel. There's a difference between a parcel and a lot.
Yes.
Okay? So this parcel does not have the minimum required frontage. It has the minimum required frontage under Mass General Law, but not under local zoning. So with that, it has more than enough area, not enough frontage. So when the abutters were told by their real estate agents who were looking for their 6% commission in making this sale, they said, you know, this property isn't buildable. As a buildable lot, that was not misleading, that was correct, as a buildable lot. And that was at the time where the public road had become abandoned. It had become abandoned and the easement was there to serve number 50. So what the real estate brokers conveyed to them was not a lie. It wasn't a buildable lot, that's correct. The way to make it a buildable lot is to create the frontage, which is why we're here with you folks, is to create a road, to create the frontage to create lots. I could have gotten a fourth lot in here. I chose not to do that. So with that said, we could have gone with either, so that there were options. So if you wanted to develop this property, you could go to the board and you could, the ZBA, and you say, listen, I've got a piece of property out here. I'd like to develop it as a buildable lot, well, what's your hardship? Demonstrate to me one of the three hardships. It's not soils, you have soils out here. It's not topography, but is it lot shape? That's a determination to be made by the building inspector and by the town, but if that were the case, there'd be granting variances all over town. So again, that sets a precedent. So with that said, the property as is not a buildable lot by zoning, okay? Once we create the subdivision road, which creates the lots, then you have it. The alternative is, like I said, we could have done 1 to 4 lots, but when you look at these things, you need to look at the economic viability. When you get whacked with regulations like this town has for stormwater regulations, which came into effect after we had filed, and after you guys had contracted with Dave Langlands, that's why you'd come back on the $5,000 extra. That was because the regulations had changed after the fact. But again, I am not faulting the town. I don't fault anybody for the changes in regulations. Society has put us in this position. This is what we need to do. So with that said, this is why we're here tonight. So when the board acts on the plan, you're acting not to look at a private, to approve a private road, a public road. You're voting to approve a road to create frontages for the lots. Okay? If I look at number 40, which is located, their frontage is actually down on Gilchrist. Okay? Gilchrist has a situation where they have what's referred to as illusory frontage. There's all wetlands down there. In many towns, you need to access your lot, under zoning, you need to access your lot through its frontage. If there's illusory frontage, you don't have a lot. Townsend doesn't have that requirement in its own lot. So when the Sequins had to get access to their lot, they had to come in up at Cedar. So that's kind of where we are with that. But again, to create the lots, to make this property buildable, you need to go in there with that approach. The alternative is the state route, which can be unpleasant for the abutters. And we're not going that way. We're not going that way. I think everybody knows what that is. We're not going down that road. The property owner doesn't want to do that. He wants to maintain the character of the area, and that's why he's only looking at 3 lots. I mentioned 4 lots. He said, let's leave it at 3. I said, okay. I would have gone for the 4. I'm being honest with you, 4. I would have gone for the 4. He said, no, keep it with the 3.
Okay. Hey, I want to limit some of the chatter we're hearing. You can still chatter, just keep it a little bit lower.
Did we get any input from the zoning board on this proposal?
I'm pretty sure we had referral comments, I thought, from the zoning board back in April or whatever it was, and I thought it was no comment.
No comment?
Yeah, I believe I just read the things that I believe they said no comment.
Mr. Chairman, we didn't apply for variance from the ZBA.
Yeah.
They don't have jurisdiction over this, applying strictly to the planning board. Just to piggyback on Wayne's comments, the whole issue is in terms of build out for access, ingress and egress to the property. And the whole submittal of the plan that is designed and engineered by Wayne is to be exactly to town specifications of what's required for a roadway in the town to meet that issue. So it's being designed, again, if the town chooses to accept, at least we'll have the capacity to request. But that's all it would be a request, and then it's up to the town to vote yes or no. If they don't, then we still have the roadway that's providing the safe ingress and egress as required by the planning board. And, I think there should be notice in terms of some of the movement in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. For instance, when Wayne made reference to getting a variance that, the question of hardship. 2 weeks ago, Governor Healy just signed in an emergency basis, changing the standard for hardship, that it's no longer hardship confined to the land. It's hardship that is now discretionary to the ZBA, subject to the personal position of the applicant. Huge change.
Basically
And it's
financial.
Yeah, and for a reason, the reason is that they're trying to, encourage building of residential houses in Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This is a beautiful site. These are beautiful homes. This is a situation where you got the comment by the building inspector, and it's properly zoned for this. Like, this is what the town envisioned when you create zones within the town, is to give the indication to the owner of that property within any specific zone as to what the intended use of that property should be. And this is the intended use. This is the allowed use within that zone. So it's a situation where, we feel very confident about this, that this is a excellent plan, and we would ask for your support.
So just staying on the line of board questions or comments. Well, Robert, you had a few minutes, that's fine.
Do you want to continue with the road question, or? No, I was gonna hit the
and
road question.
So that was one of the concerns I had, and then the other one was the extension of the existing road. So the bylaws have an issue with the amount of the extension of the road and the issue of a dead-end road versus not. So these were all legal things that, if they're not fully understood and addressed, could lead to problems with the board, with the town, with the butters and prospective owners. So my position is, and then this all is subject to having the town approve an extension to allow this subdivision. No?
I don't think so.
No,
No.
because it's gonna be a private road. Town doesn't have to approve it.
It can be a private road?
I wanna
Yeah,
hear
I'd like to.
Cindy's question, it seems
yeah.
like it's on the same thread.
Yeah, I think mine is more comments than questions. I think, I'm thinking of this road thing is somewhere in the same vicinity as my driveway question. That I think that this gets, the road issues is just as confusing as the driveway question.
Right.
And I think I understand it, and I'm satisfied with what you guys have proposed and has been approved by our highway department, our fire department, and our engineer, our oil and tanner, I believe. But that it never has to, the builders or the developers, owners, don't ever have to make it satisfied for a public road. They've taken the extra steps to go to the higher standard of what a public road requires, which is better for whoever's gonna live there. And they'll make their own decisions on whether or not it's adequate. But going to the higher standard of meeting the measurements or all the values for a public road, even if it remains a private road, is going to be better for everyone. And they didn't have to do that. They could have said, no, we're gonna go private and we're just gonna keep it that way. And we wouldn't be talking about a lot of the depth of the materials or the width of the road. It would be a completely different presentation. And there's nothing in our rules that would require them to make it adequate to a public way. They're offering this. And we have no jurisdiction on whether or not it's a private road or a public road going forward. Because they're proposing that, we're discussing, making sure that, okay, if that's what you want, we're pushing to meet those standards regardless of what's gonna happen, because that's what they're proposing. And then it would be, town meeting is not going to approve this subdivision, we are. And then, but town meeting would only come into play at whatever point in the future, if ever, that everything is, all the i's get dotted and all the t's get crossed and everything is complete without issues, which I'd love to see that for something. But that it will be prepared to go to town meeting for acceptance, which is for the benefit of not only the new residents in that area, because they don't have to get along with each other and say, okay, who's gonna hire who's plowing us out? If the potholes get enormous, who's gonna pay for it? You know, if making it a public way, I think as a homeowner, I would say, please don't live on a private road. But those questions would go to town meeting once everything is met and that the road is still in the same condition. When that happens, whoever's responsible at the time, which might be either the property owners, depending what happens to the developers. The developers, if they're still in play, they would be responsible for making sure the road still passes muster, correct? That and our highway superintendent would say, yep, it's still good. It still meets the standard for public way. We don't need any extra work done on this. It meets exactly. And then the town meeting would be making the determination, including with it, the voters who live on that street, on whether or not, gee, is it gonna be a public way or not? And I'm only throwing this out there a little bit, that it's an assumption, I don't know if it's even fair for me to say it, but I'm gonna say it anyway, that this might be even in the benefit of the current residents of Seaver Road. This work being done, that the town's not gonna maintain this new cul-de-sac better than the rest of the road. I keep hearing about how bad Seaver Road, what condition it's in. I'm going to get down there before next time. I was not part of the site visit when it first happened, but I'm hearing that Seaver Road's in deplorable condition. And this may be to the benefit of the current residents of Seaver Road to have our highway department getting more involved down there.
I share that sentiment, but the abutters don't.
I know. That's why I qualified my statement.
Right. So I'm glad you cleared that up, Cindy, because I wanted the whole audience to understand what this is all about. So from my perspective, all the technical requirements have been provided and are acceptable and would qualify for a subdivision in my view. And so as far as I'm concerned, the applicant has met those requirements and has, again, I agree, with everybody bearing in mind here that this is currently a parcel that will be converted to 3 lots. Any other developer could come up with other configurations or lot projections based upon what he thought would be most beneficial for him. So, from my perspective, everything that's been presented here has met the standards that we have for a subdivision. The question of a private road versus, a public road, is not anything that we can address. So I did want clarification on that, and I wanted to be comfortable that whatever action this board would take, would not subject to any legal exposures to anybody.
Thank you, Robert. I think Wayne may have a few more comments, but I want to hear more from Brett and Carol.
My only comments were, whatever this latest July 13th real Tanner around, there's a few places where it said that the comments weren't addressed or not entirely
Is
addressed.
this July 13th or 23rd?
13th, was there a new one?
Yeah, we have the 23rd.
Okay. You have a 23rd one?
I'm on my notes on it.
Yeah, I'll just look and see if they've.
Mr. Chairman, we didn't receive a copy of that July 23rd letter.
Oh, okay.
Where
Sure.
is today, 27th?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll see you.
Well, I'll ask Beth to send you one.
Thank you.
Brett, you had some,
Yeah, I have two more comments. So I don't believe an 18-foot wide road qualifies for Chapter 90 money. So maintenance of that road the burden will be on the taxpayers. We'll never get any state funding for the existing Seaver Road and proposed new Seaver Road. So the burden of maintaining that will be by the taxpayers
If it becomes a public road.
if it becomes a public road. And my other question was for David. David, you looked it up so easy on the last question I had. Did the previous board also grant a waiver? I mean, I believe our minimum road width is 22 feet. Did they grant a waiver for an 18-foot wide road?
I believe they did. Let me check, and you can discuss other matters while I'm taking a look at that.
Sorry to put you on the spot. I just want to make sure all the boxes are checked.
That's okay. I'll
That was
take a look.
actually a comment. If I could, through the chair, David had raised a comment that, and I'm just paraphrasing here, David. It was in your second peer review letter, you raised the question about the 18-foot wide road and whether or not the design still satisfied the fire department, because I believe, yes, in that 2022 decision, the fire department had weighed in favorably to the 18-foot road, provided that there was adequate clearance to 20 feet. What I mean by the clearance is the body clearance. So typically, fire trucks are from wheel to wheel, outside of the tread to outside of the tread, are 8 to 9 foot wide, mostly around the 8 to 8.5 foot wide. So with that said, I reached back out to the fire department and addressed it with two comments I think David raised that brought to the attention of the fire department. And one of them was the width, and the fire department stated that they supported the 18-foot wide width, and that we demonstrated on the plans with the turning maneuvers. But they would not support an 18-foot wide width if there was granite curbing. And the reason they wouldn't support that is the damage that it does to the tires. I know DPWs feel the same way on their plows. They get banged up pretty badly with granite curbing. So that, I can't recall the comment, but I know, David, you raised it and referenced it in.
Yes, that's correct, Wayne. And Brett, to answer your question, yes, I found it. Yes, it was granted. Let me share my screen again. So waiver request number 18, to allow the construction of an 18-foot wide roadway surface in lieu of the required 16-foot. I don't know why it says 16. It should have been 26. But it was 26 was the required. The board voted and granted the waiver. And as Wayne stated, the waiver request previously was had to do with clearance for the fire truck. And so they needed to demonstrate, as Wayne stated, that there was clearance for something less than 20 feet. 20 feet, it looks like, was the minimum that the fire department wanted, unless they could clear 18. They proved that they could clear 18, and 18 was granted.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Carol, I guess while you continue, I had a chance before the meeting, I drove down Seaver Road, just to look at it and think through it as we've gone through our stuff. I'm sympathetic to a lot of the concerns we've heard. I mean, it's a rough road. We've got a lot of roads in town that are also rough roads. Looking at the overhanging trees, the tighter stone walls,
Can't even turn around.
I would like to ask Highway, I know at one point there was a plan in town, or a proposal in town to have a schedule of roads to which when they'll get worked on and paved and upgraded. I don't think that exists. I'm pretty sure that did not go through, but.
Well, they have it, but it's for chapter 90 money.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested in just asking the Highway, not necessarily contingent on anything
Sure.
here, but, what type of plans they have or do have or don't have for work on Seaver Road.
Well, I think you're correct, though. If there's no state funding to assist here, nothing's gonna happen.
It's no state funding for a road that narrow. Is it 22 or 24? Do you know off the top of your head?
I'm sorry, the
For
existing.
chapter 90 money?
I'll have to look.
It's either 22 or 24, I'm not sure which one.
Yeah. Typically, so I served on the chair of my board of sewer commissions and I deal with budgets all the time, similar to these types of situations. And what I find, and I understand you go from town to town, and most of your budget is consumed by the school budget, which is in department heads. It irritates department heads. We set up, when I got elected, set up an enterprise fund, and we have our own. What we do with that, so if we have a situation like that, we have the road looked at, put it out to bid for design. If it's less than, if it's over 10,000, it's less than 5,000, or less than 10,000, then we can reach out to one consultant and then have them look at the road. And then we go for low interest loans. We do it still as a department, even with our,
As a sewer department?
as a sewer department. Yep.
You have sewer?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We have 85 miles of sewer. So we go for low interest loans. We have because of our being a sewer department, we can go for SRF funding, which is a state funding mechanism as well. But a lot of the times we go for low interest loans, and that's how we get it done. It hurts, but it's better at low interest than doing nothing.
If I may, I took a quick look, and it doesn't seem that roadway width is a requirement. The requirements have to be that the road is accepted public way, maintained by the municipality, and included in the municipality's local road inventory used by MassDOT. So going back to the chairman's comment, I think the first step is to check with the highway department and confirm the list of roads that they have, that they maintain, that are associated with what MassDOT has, and go from there.
I think the highways prioritize based on travel. I'm gonna make an assumption that Seaver Road is not heavily traveled.
Travel and complaints probably, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
roads that, we've seen many roads that get paved multiple times. Like Dudley Road gets done a lot, and Bayberry took a long time for somebody to fix that one.
Right.
But there's a number of roads that we know get done repeatedly, but
Based on
there's
the
some that
traffic
haven't
volume.
been done in 40 years.
Right.
So, but it's based on how much traffic is utilizing those roads and the needs of, not just, unfortunately, a dead end road. the squeaky wheel.
Carol, you had a chance to look it over a little
Yeah.
bit more, do you have any
Yeah.
more thoughts or questions?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
That one. This one.
Do we need to address all the conditions tonight? That
Well,
would be-
I think, so we had a number of new letters from abutters and concerned citizens. I don't think, and don't recommend that we read them into the record like we did the last time.
Yeah.
But we've had them in our folder, we've had a chance to read them, and then we'll
They're
have a
similar.
moment, for public comment as well. And then, I think we need to consider, we've talked broadly about certain things. I don't think we've necessarily checked where every board member is at and such, but we need to consider we have a deadline, a statutory deadline of, the next meeting, the 10th of August, that we were granted an extension for. If we think we need more time or not, there's a litany there's a number of exemptions that have been requested that we have to go through.
The waivers, right?
Waivers, and explore. There's no draft decision in any form has been put together. But I think those are the things that we need to think about as a board next. But I think what I'd like to do first is, we'll acknowledge I believe the three new letters that we've received, and then open it up for, public questions and comment. So we've received it was an A-Lot and Desolettes, letter. I think it was dated the 22nd of July. We have a Cyclone letter from the 27th of July, and we have a Masita letter from the 27th of July as well. So would like to open it up now, and with the intention of limiting redundancy, for public comment. Open it.
Excuse me. Excuse me, I'm sorry about that. I believe there's also a letter from 50, Rich Cohen, and somebody else might have a hard copy of it. I know he wasn't able to come tonight, but he had concerns regarding his driveway at the end and his utilities.
Let's see.
He should have received it last night, I think, he had said.
It came in last night?
He said,
What's up, three?
I think we only,
email was just sent, and that was, today.
yeah. I think, I would hope those in the room understand that we don't necessarily, if you send it the day of, it's not a guarantee that it's gonna get into the folder amongst everything that's going on. You know, we're still, this is still ongoing, and happy to, I know last time we read in John's letter, that was an error on our part for not getting it in when he did get it in time. I don't know what the good time is, but if he sent it in today, I know we'll have it by the next one. But let's, public comment. I know we have people here. Sure.
First of all, Mr. Karen, you mentioned about the town abandoning the road. The town abandoned the road explicitly because it doesn't want houses being built at the end of this long, narrow, dead-end road. That's why the town abandoned the road. They abandoned the road at the driveway of the last house at the time. Right, they chopped the road up as far as they could after Lunenburg abandoned the road on their side, which created, which turned the road into a dead road. Townsend then voted to abandon it, make it as short as they possibly could, specifically because they don't want houses way down at the end of a long dead end road. That's why they did it. I looked it up. Townsend has voted to abandon roads before, at least a dozen of those. It never made through Townsend as long as those roads were into public or private. It never happened. I couldn't even find a single instance in the entire state. So, I agree. I think there's a big legal question. I'm not sure. And then, the other thing I wanted to point out, when you mentioned that if you put a waiver, it sets a precedent. We agree. That's the big danger. If you grant a bunch of waivers to allow, subdivision rules clearly show that a single road going down to a property will always that it's not a common subdivision. You have to have multiple ways in. There's rules. You gotta have two ways in and out. Every road has to intersect with every other road. Specifically, a single road going in is not a subdivision. If you grant waivers to allow it here, every property in town can become subdivision. Putting a road into the middle of that, or close it. Every 6, 8, 10, 12 acre property can be divided up into a little subdivision. That's the precedent. And that would destroy this. That would destroy the.
Thank you, John.
Should we speak on it?
Yeah, sure.
One, John, is it John?
Yeah.
One problem as a member of this board that I have is a lot of these waivers have already been granted. Previous board granted waivers, and he looked them up tonight.
Yeah, but previous board tonight.
Those waivers have been granted for this project.
Yeah, but that was a district.
But
And
the
that was
previous
only-
board denied this project.
Twice. For this project, and
So-
then twice.
Why?
Through the chair, and then, through the chair, then we, preliminary thing.
I'm sorry.
There was no public participation in the preliminary. There it goes.
Unfortunately, it's prior to this board.
I know, I understand that, but I'm saying, well, I wasn't at any of those meetings. I never got a notification from you guys. Preliminary approvals, is that?
We were actually told by Beth Faxon that that was supposed to be anything.
Yeah, that a preliminary approval,
So-
what a dismissal of someone's understanding, to get you to the definitive stage, that's where the review takes place.
Thank you. So let's continue with public comment. We'll work around the room.
I mean, basically, there have been a lot of variances for this project already. What about, that big variance about the town bylaw explicitly states how long a road can be? I've heard a lot of variances here, but I haven't heard that explicit one about a variance on the town bylaw where it clearly states a road cannot be longer than X amount. And any extension would exceed that X amount. My other concern is also, this is not a well-maintained road to begin with. We don't know if it'll ever be a public road. And if it does, we don't know if it'll be that well maintained, since it currently isn't. It's kind of a nightmare scenario for any property owner, whatever kind of turns they make. They can make the fanciest turnarounds for the fire trucks, but if it's already way down the road, and we're talking a private road where we don't know when it would ever become a public road, when, with the plowing concerns and the maintenance concerns, if we add in 3 more houses, this could really be, I don't know, a liability for the town, even, fire trucks would not be able to maneuver very easily in any of these properties.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, can I have the name of the watershed and identify yourself that way?
Mark Sheridan.
Una Brown,
I'm sorry?
Una Brown.
Okay, thank you.
Was there a variance made for
No,
the length of the street?
We're doing
I
public.
can take that, Mr. Chairman. So this board does not have the ability to grant variances. There were no variances granted. There were no variances requested. Variances.
Oh, wait, wait,
Again, that's what thank you, John, I was about to explain. So basically what they are waivers. Waivers and variances are two totally different.
Right. Was there a waiver granted?
So I'm gonna keep going with public comment. I appreciate where you're at. Sure.
Yeah, Bobby Watt from 38 Cedar. I just want to understand correctly that it sounds like what I'm hearing tonight is that despite the fact that the town voted publicly to abandon or discontinue, whatever the right terminology is, the end of Cedar Road many years ago, we are considering extending it another 560 feet, despite that public vote. So my question again, which was in my letter, does that not have to go back to the town? because we are now doing something in reverse of what the town publicly voted for. To bring up your point of legal issues, I'm questioning that also.
My understanding is that would apply if the town was gonna accept it as an extension. What I'm understanding now is the applicant is proposing that as a private extension.
So, Robert, I don't wanna go, well, no, I don't necessarily, I think, have an issue with what you said or how you said it, but, council has, and I recognize council is of the applicant and not necessarily an independent council, but under judicial ethics and whatnot.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just, in terms of the distinction between the town not maintaining the area of roadway, in terms of being responsible for repair, maintenance, upkeep, plowing, things of that sort. There's a big distinction between that and suggestion that the town actually took this land. That it was never an undertaking of the town to basically take away the rights of the individual owner to that property that owner has invested in the property. So there's, I'd suggest that there's a distinction to be made here that this property was never taken from the owner of the land, and Belvedere Capital is now the successor in interest to the property and looking to utilize that property consistent with the bylaws and consistent with the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
I don't think I would suggest it. I would look at it.
Well, they can't use their land, that's the equivalent of the taking.
If I'm gonna, I appreciate the back and forth, I wanna make sure we don't have, the goal of the planning board is not to have a group brouhaha and all come and think and stuff. I don't know if I'll do it any justice or make it worse, but, you have an individual who's a private property owner who has this parcel of land. It's previously, whether by realtors or whatnot, that or on an assessor's database, been listed as undevelopable in the sense that it doesn't directly have a certain level of frontage. The owner, call it creative, call it smart, I'm not sure, or has just found a way to utilize the land based on the laws as they've been written, whether state or locally, saying that if they're gonna take the property they own and create a private way, then they'll have access if, we as the planning board are able to look at this and say that, we think this is a benefit to the town in the long run. And I don't see it, or I'm not sure I believe it, that it is reversing or necessarily degrading the abandonment of the road or that section of road. In a way that would be a decision by the town at town meeting in terms of the public way. What if, and I understand, I think John has probably made the point the most about the precedent of people putting private roads in any property in town, which either you could call it a doomsday if you don't want housing, or you could call it maybe a great adventure if you do love housing everywhere. Technically, if you have the amount of property, you could probably put in a private road if the land and everything, and you want to put in the dirt and soils and whatnot. So I'm not trying to ramble here. I'm just trying to synthesize what I'm hearing from different places and how I'm looking at it or understanding it. But I thank you for your comment. I'd like to continue with public comment if we have anyone else here on the floor, or if we have anyone online as well. I see the Sykemans.
Yeah, Michael Seekman from Seaver Road. I just have 3 points clarification in response to Wayne's comments, if I may. First, regarding the missing driveway, I believe I heard, and I apologize if I misheard this, that Wayne indicated that was a recent discovery or pointing out by us. That was first raised in Jolene's letter of June 8th. And the reason it's important is not because of the access issue per se, I'll talk about that, and we appreciate the planning board members' concern about that. But your bylaws, the Townsend subdivision bylaws, the requirements for the subdivision legally, 175.13C4 says, errors, misrepresentations, omissions, or missing information in the subdivision plan shall be grounds for denial. So I understand the chair was talking about whether you think this is in the public interest of the town. I am a lawyer. I'm not a real estate lawyer, but I understand how the law works. I understand there may be an overall public interest requirement of the law. That's the bylaw. That's one of the requirements of a subdivision plan to be approved by this board. I'm not aware of the waiver. That's one reason why that matters, because you can take your pick. Error, misrepresentation, omission, or misleading information. That's one of those, and I'm not aware that has been revised, nor am I aware that there's been a waiver granted. The second point, again, we appreciate the board's concern about the access issue. Wayne mentioned discussions we had. That was on March 26th. That was 4 months ago. We would have been quite happy if this was resolved then. Frankly, I think they would be happy in a lot of ways. It would be off the table if they had just granted an easement back 4 months ago. You wouldn't be having the discussions wrapped up on 40 Seaver Road's access per se. Matter of fact, we first heard about this issue when the developer 6 years ago sent a letter saying, hey, we'd like to develop this property. And by the way, you don't have access legally to Seaver Road. Maybe we can come to a resolution. For 6 years, we've been trying to resolve this issue, and we don't have resolution. Just like now, we hear they'd like to resolve it. It never gets resolved. I understand. I've heard they want to disclaim the actions of the previous developer and say arm's length. Oh, yeah, no, we just foreclosed a property. We have nothing to do with them. But I will point out, Wayne has pointed to their preliminary plan as the cake that was already baked that they built upon. The peer reviewer has referred to that preliminary approval at least twice, maybe 3 times. One of the board members has pointed to that preliminary approval as binding on this. So the idea that the previous threats from 6 years ago don't matter is kind of farcical. Again, we've been trying to resolve this for 6 years. An easement would have resolved this. Just granted, we wouldn't be talking about this. And finally, the reason why that matters is not because of the unjustness of my mother-in-law not having legal access to this house that was built 40 years ago and the town approved. It's because, again, your own law, Townsend Subdivision 175-16B15, says you cannot make streets in a subdivision to provide frontage or access to land that is not part of the subdivision in a manner that would allow new A&R lots. We believe that if they did grant the subdivision, and again, they keep telling us if they did grant easement, they keep telling us they'll grant an easement, but they keep not doing it. Matter of fact, sometimes they say conditional upon approval of the subdivision at the end when everything's all done. If they did do that, that would grant access to land not part of the subdivision. 40 Seaver Road is not part of the subdivision. It would then allow new A&R lot on 40 Seaver Road. In other words, if they did this, 40 Seaver Road would be able, as of right, A&R, to make additional lots within 40 Seaver Road. And that is prohibited under your law. So that may very well be why they're doing that. So that's multiple reasons why we believe your law, your own subdivision law, not a feeling that this is not in the character of the neighborhood, or we believed it was undevelopable, or that's not the rural nature of the neighborhood, but actual requirements of your own bylaws are violated by this plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else online that would like to comment? Heidi? See Heidi's hand?
Yep. Hi. Thank you.
Last name,
I
Heidi?
wanted to ask a question to kind of clarify, because I'm not sure I'm following. Back to the waivers, are you guys applying previously approved waivers from a different project to this project?
I would say no, in the sense that there's a few things going on. This, as many here know, this has come before the board, I think, in 2020.
2022, I think.
Was 2 the denial or was 2 the pre-application?
2 was the preliminary plan for the board.
So there's a preliminary plan that the board has approved, to which I believe conditions were granted then, and that those are relevant now, but times prior where this has come before, those are not applicable. I mean, they're generally related, but
Right.
not,
Okay.
not, you know, before us right now.
Can we have the last name of Heidi and her address?
Heidi, do you mind sharing your last
Oh,
name?
sorry, Heidi Ash.
Very nice, thank you.
Address?
Heidi, would you be willing to share your address with Wayne? He's a nice
Yep.
guy.
Sorry. 85 Wildwood Road, and that's in Lunenburg.
Got it, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, yep. Anybody else on there that we can't see? Unless,
If I can make a comment?
sure.
So I'm
Name?
attorney Stephanie Mello. My brother, attorney John Mello, who's been at these meetings before. We manage the day-to-day operations of Belvedere Capital, who are the current owners. We took it at foreclosure auction. So just from, I mean, really just reading this letter and listening to everyone's comments, the main business of Belvedere Capital, we develop properties, but our main business is giving loans. So this property was taken at foreclosure auction because the previous landowner, the previous developer, didn't pay his bills. I'm also reading in this letter that he threatened an elderly woman that he was going to gate off her driveway when her husband, who was dying from pancreatic cancer, needed to get to his appointments. So we don't do that. That's not something that we would do. We're not portfolio developers. We're community members. I grew up in Dracut. I lived down the road in Dunstable. My brother John grew up in Lowell. He lives in Dracut. The owners of Belvedere Capital live in Lowell. They run nonprofit organizations, build buildings at UMass Lowell. They're not the kind of people that are described in this letter. Well, it was the previous developer who's being described in this letter. That's not who we are. So comments about, oh, well, you're asking for 3 lots, but we know there's going to be more. It doesn't, first, that doesn't make any sense. But second, we're looking to build beautiful homes to make the neighborhood more beautiful. We've gone above and beyond to make sure that the roadway fits all of these regulations that it doesn't need to fit. We could have fit more lots in order to maximize our profit, and we didn't because we didn't think it would benefit the neighborhood. I just want to make sure that the people in this room are aware of all of that and they see all of that, because it seems like and there's a lot of talk about, oh, it's taken 6 years to do this, it's taken 6 years to do that. The number of years it's taken are irrelevant, because the previous developer could have owned the lot for 100 years. And if we just came in the other day, we can't do anything to change what the previous developer did for 100 years. So I just wanted to introduce myself so that everyone could put a face to this boogeyman that you think is trying to invade your neighborhood, because I promise that's not what we're trying to do.
Thank you. Okay. I believe we've had substantial public comment, and I don't see any other hands or any interest in speaking at the moment. So what's next for us as the planning board is to, I think, evaluate the waivers that have been requested and work through that to see if we reach agreement as a board on what that could look like and whether it moves forward or not. So I'm not sure, maybe not in our next meeting, but I truly have no idea. So I'd like to ask the applicant for another extension. There's my list. Let's just say till September 14th, if that would be applicable. And we'll work through as a board to make sure that we are satisfied to our best, to the town's best, to even the neighbor's best, and hope to have a decision by then.
Mr. Chairman, so the next hearing would be September 14th?
Nope, I would say just our statutory deadline to make a decision. Right now it's August 10th, which we have a meeting scheduled. We have one meeting scheduled for August 24th, and then a last meeting for September 14th. my hope we would have a decision before that, but instead of asking you every meeting for an extension, I'd rather go to the 14th and then, hope to have a decision for you prior to that. Okay.
Last time we got an email that we signed off on.
I'm gonna ask
By the
that,
public record, I'll put on the record.
Yep, we're gonna,
Request.
So will we have everything we need on the 10th in order to go through?
that would be my hope. I mean, we have a completed peer review. I'm gonna ask Beth to reach out to the, highway department specifically on, well, either chapter 90 or just, what plans does the highway department have for Seaver Road, if they have any, to work on it or, and whatnot.
Can I just discuss one thing?
Sure.
Can we have a legal review?
We did at last meeting,
Right.
we talked about asking town council, and I asked Beth to reach out to town council.
Right. So one of the
They have been
items,
reached out to.
one of the topics would be previous waivers. How binding they may be.
I was gonna bring that up, Andrew,
Say what?
I was gonna bring that up too, I mean, it was a preliminary plan,
But it was a different plan, right? It wasn't a formal.
it was a preliminary plan,
Right,
that's what I think we need to find out.
right.
Were the waivers granted on the preliminary plan, do they carry over to this plan?
So I have no
I
problem
think I know
asking.
the answer.
I have no problem asking. What I have been told is given the recent, well, I don't know if it's recent budget crunches of the town, but there's not a lot of budget left for town council, and with the nothing,
There is no,
no budget. And
well,
then,
no, we're in a new fiscal year, so.
Yeah,
That's
this
right.
is,
I'm
this
just
is a new
relaying,
fiscal year that just
Yeah.
started 27 days ago.
so I'm
Hopefully
just
we're not broke
I'm just
yet.
trying to relay to you guys what I've been told. I have put in the request for the former meeting, but with the lawsuits from the town clerk on the town, been told there's not a lot of free time or money for the town council.
I think we should be able to get, this is a very significant
Sure.
project and of great
Sure.
significance to the community and the abutters in particular.
Sure.
I mean,
I think we need an answer.
I think we need town council to give us,
Just on the waivers.
I think I mean, whatever, I mean, this is, my understanding is Adam's specialty area is this kind of stuff. So I think for him to give us,
It should take him long to figure that out.
I mean, I'm not sure what to call it, his guidance, his opinion on where, the things that he can see as the bumps in the road that maybe we're not seeing,
Right.
Sure, okay, so,
or satisfy us the things that we already are nervous about.
Well, we're representing the entire community.
Yeah,
so-
this will, one way or the other, this needs to be addressed. This is, what are you, the third owners?
I'm sure over the duration of history.
Okay, probably longer. But, I mean, since the road was abandoned,
Sure.
but I mean, this has come to one planning board or another. I think that to get town council's opinion could have an impact on whatever the future might hold as well, not just,
Don't disagree.
I mean, it's just, I would not be happy if the
Sure.
select board said we can't use town council for something like this. This is
Sure.
not okay.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to continue the public hearing to the date of August 10th.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Second, roll call vote.
Cindy King, aye.
Carol Houses, yes.
Rick King, yes.
Robert Theron, yes.
Andrew Shepherd, yes.
Mr. Chairman, what time?
Grateful. Let's do 6:45 again.
Thank you.
I don't know if there's anything else scheduled for that day, so if that does change, I'm gonna ask Beth to make you, let you know.
Okay.
And we'll have that posted on our agenda if that does change.
Just if you need this, if you want it written.
Yeah, we're gonna send that over. Thank you. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thanks, folks. Nice seeing you in person.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Enjoy your evening.
Did anyone ever tell you you kind of look like John McCain? Doesn't he kind of have a John McCain thing? Was
Yeah.
Mr. Palin tonight?
Sure.
Let's get a little bit. You see it? Run for president.
You're right.
He can't anymore. Really tough for John to do that these days. Have a good night, folks.
Good night.
Thank you, guys. Okay, that puts us,
Thank you.
yep,
Thank you, have a good night.
so we were at, 3.3, which is the floodplain overlay district application. I know there was a lot of free time at the last public hearing this past few minutes ago, so did anyone think more diligently about this?
Take it back and review it, and
Yeah, I
maybe the
don't,
next meeting, or like someone suggested, like, try it,
I've never done one of these, so no.
I hate trying to undo something we did, you know what I mean?
it certainly makes it tough, and as we saw with the, you know, one thing that we already had before us and approved, like, we changed the rules after we realized it's not really working, and then it does make it difficult for they who come in the very beginning. And,
Yeah, I know that.
whether it's
Well.
easements on something or who knows, but, so I'm okay with, I don't mind waiting. I don't, defer to the board. We're a group,
I'm fine with whatever.
All right,
Yes,
so
it's fine.
so we'll just take no action.
next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Think a little bit more about it. 3.4, draft decision on Wheeler Road, three-wheeler. Says it needs Brett or Robert's signatures. Obviously, I'm
needs-
not partaking in.
Yeah, it needs everybody's except me and you.
Yep.
So we can sign it now? Yes, so I move, well, what is the, review draft planning board?
Did you guys already vote to
decision?
approve it? Or-
No, we need to do that.
Okay.
I thought
No,
we did it
we approved it last week,
Did we?
or sorry, last meeting, yeah.
Yes, we did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is the,
Then you should just need to
We
sign.
just need, I think we
Well,
just
you
need
need-
to sign.
to review to make sure that it's what you want to sign. I mean, we approved, but this is the actual decision
Right,
was not prepared, so.
Okay.
I'm gonna be abstaining from this anyway. Well, I abstained from the whole project, so I probably should abstain from this too. But this needs the three of you to
I
sign
guess,
it.
I guess
If you
we're
agree
gonna
with
turn it
it.
over to Vice Chair Carol. And
If it meets your, what you voted, what you think you voted for, then Beth would appreciate a signature so that we can get to the appropriate places.
maybe you guys can just look that over at your leisure. Maybe it's worth, I don't think, 3.5 is review draft planning board decision on 0 Seaver Road. I don't think we have one. I think that was
I was wondering about that.
I did ask Beth after our last meeting, just because we've come up with there's been a number of conditions and stuff that have come up over time, and I asked her if she could start putting them together.
Yeah.
Just for discussion points, not for, making a decision one way or another.
Did you sign it?
I don't think that's been.
I'll sign it. I don't know if you, I
Yeah.
read that part, I guess. I'm good with that.
So I don't
I
think
just want
there
to
is
make sure
anything.
you're good with
Sure.
that.
Yeah, she might have put that on there just to, so that we could,
Follow up with it.
just to keep,
Continue.
the conversation going, and by some strange miracle that we
No,
would
a
approve it
lot of
tonight.
boards are doing that now. It's the only way we can keep it
Yeah,
on
you
the
need to
agenda.
put things on there, for open meeting law. Yep.
So we might as well, while, Brett and then Robert will be reading, maybe Cindy, we do our notices from abutting towns and
Okay.
town decisions or.
I'll start those. This is an older one. This is the announcement. The first one I have is the announcement, the posting, the legal notice for the Conservation Commission to do the 0 Seaver Road hearing, which they tried to have, but had to redo on July 22nd, so that's one of them. We have a legal advertisement from Shirley ZBA that they're going to have a public hearing at 7 PM on August 10th. for a variance for minimum side yard setback 15 feet and installation of a carport to the detached garage at 35 Benjamin Road, Shirley. Shirley, ZBA, also had a decision for a variance of Napoli and Owen Irrevocable Trust on, what? Oh, the owners are in Littleton, sorry. But for property at 64 Walker Road, they had a public hearing on July 13th at 7 PM, and they made a decision, and it looks like I think they approved it. I thought I found that. Oh, the variance granted will be subjected to the, so they approved whatever that was, the frontage, changing the frontage. No, Town of Ashby, notice of decision, short and sweet. This is a Main Street, map 10, parcel 2.2. The applicant had asked for a variance to frontage and lot width, and this application was denied. Town of Lunenburg, notice of decision 171 Arbor Street, special permit modification. That one was approved. And they also had a notice of decision 934 Mass Ave for modification of a shared driveway special permit. And that was also approved. And that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Got through them all. Not too many this time.
So we have, oh, let me just, I think there was some notes. Oh, I thought it was true. Okay, we asked for the exception. I think we covered everything. I think so. Next meeting, August 10th. Yep. August 24th, September 4th, and September 28th. Right.
Should I was thinking it wasn't on here, but we have 4.2 communications. I don't know if that
Was
counts.
that part of what you
Well,
read? Or you have something else you want to?
yeah, I mean, I had attended the clean energy presentation that was in Maynard.
Oh, I was wondering
Last
why that
week.
was in our.
I mean, it's not, but it's in the information that came from that presentation is in the packet. It was.
Yeah, I saw it. I did
emailed
see
to
it.
everyone.
Yeah, I saw
And
it.
the significance of the clean energy is regarding, clean energy, which includes wind, solar, and battery storage. The battery storage, to me, seems to be the most significant.
I know.
But these are, we have a requirement effective October 1st that we must accept consolidated permits.
We have to accept?
Yeah, we don't have to approve them, no, we have to, but if a developer, or I don't want to call him a developer, but an applicant wants to do one of these projects, in Townsend, then, it's up to them, they have the right to ask for a consolidated permit. And we can't say, oh, no, we don't do those. After October 1st, we must do those. And the consolidated permit involves the planning board, conservation, and ZBA. So it would have to have gone through all three boards as one permit application. And we have 12 months to approve or disapprove, or it's automatically approved. And then they have the right to appeal to the state anyway. And this is just for certain size projects, larger projects, over, I think it's 25 something megawatts or something. Then they go to the state directly, they don't come through us, and the state makes a decision without us.
Do you know what the size project these are? This isn't like a homeowner putting battery
No,
storage?
this is not for homeowners, this is for major projects.
What is the battery storage?
Like,
Well, if
take
you
a
have a
bunch of
solar,
batteries and put
if you
the
have
electricity in
a
it?
ground mount, this is only about ground mounted solar, not house mounted.
Okay,
But if you have these projects like what's on,
just the solar farm out there in West Meadow.
yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Similar to one of those, the ground-mounted solar projects is what this is referring to, as well as wind farms. I don't know if we have any place, maybe we do, I don't know. But, and if you have one of those, then you're gonna want to, you don't want to just have it just raw use. You want to store the energy. And that's more and more important. I mean, the presentation, you've got all the presentation. I could give you the education on it.
It's
The battery
not only
storage.
the generating
But you gotta
facility,
store
but
the
storing
energy.
the
Storing the
energy
energy,
it's
so-
producing.
I got it.
Yeah, so that it can be
There's been
used. And
a
there,
lot of stuff.
and that
going
is the
on.
big, that's what I see as the biggest thing that is
Oh, that's-
happening and
It's
is,
gonna be a mess.
We've done
No,
a
it's
few, we've
not a
done a
mess.
few of them, so what it is
Okay.
it stores extra power during the
Yeah.
day, and it allows it to produce the same amount of power overnight, right?
and not just
This is
overnight. I
outside.
mean, these projects are
Yeah.
for
Yeah, whether
months.
it's-
I mean, for much
The
longer
one,
periods
the one
than
we
that.
did was,
And-
Okay.
it wasn't a huge.
I mean, that
but-
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But these are, your major, like, I'm not familiar how what Unitil does around here. But is that a substation that's over by the old water department?
Yes.
Okay, so one thing that they explained at this presentation is that, and the state people who gave this presentation, but that a substation could want to place a battery storage unit if for places that have a substation, if there's a place to put it. And so that's, something that, I thought like, okay, the more and more popular these kind of things come, that we are not out of the woods as far as, oh, we're not gonna get that. No, we could very well get that.
Mhm.
And it's more and more popular, and there's more and more incentives, and the technology is
Coming.
much better. I mean, it's already much improved than, and they gave a really, if you go through some of the slides, and I think if Bethel, Andrew,
Are there,
if it can get on the, if it can get on the
folder.
agenda next, on one of the future, I can go over it a little bit more.
right,
But the thing that we have to do, they said it's not required that a town has to do a new bylaw, but that's kind of the gist of, we kind of do, looking at what we have. We only have a solar bylaw. We don't have a clean energy bylaw.
no,
This would be a nice DLTA.
And, well, you gotta
What
get it
about
done
the
by
clean,
October 1st.
yeah,
Well, we do have a clean energy
Committee.
committee.
Well, then, but that's
I don't
not,
think
no,
that's-
they don't have
yeah,
anything to
yeah.
do with this.
Okay.
This is zoning and permitting.
Okay.
And,
so
but we
this is
do need to
mandated
have
by the
regulation.
state right
Yes,
now.
and this is old news. This has been coming up for about a year now.
I know.
This is not something that is just getting hit.
I
It's
know.
I just got the emails and stuff, and it's like, oh my God,
So,
I haven't heard anybody talk
Do
about
they
this.
have a committee to help prepare those bylaws?
In the packet are samples, recommended samples
Okay,
for each of the things that you could use. And, the town councils are, and again, zoning is Adam's thing. So when it gets down to actually publishing bylaws, I think, but I, looking at the sample bylaws that are online, if you look at those, they seem pretty,
much
they're
understanding,
pretty boilerplate,
yeah,
and you can fill in the blank. We need to review them. We don't want to just say, oh yeah, this is fine.
right.
We need to,
I think we've had
I
a
think
great
that whole
introduction.
section needs to be looked at by all of us.
So this will be on the agenda then.
I don't see an issue with having it as an agenda item. I think this is probably more relevant than us working on the marijuana
Exactly.
bylaws.
Yeah.
And I don't, at least my goal with that was to have more community participation with them, and we haven't had a lot yet, and that's totally fine. But I think we can talk to Beth, get it on an agenda item, and look through it and see what we can do. I am not worried, nothing against the state, but they have plenty of things they tell us we need to get done. And if it's not done, I get if we get an application, something, we'd have a different set of rules, but I think we just take it, as we can and do a thoughtful job.
So please do look at the presentation that are in it. That's everything that they downloaded to me after the presentation. I just got it and I sent it to Beth and get this up on the website.
Yeah.
And, so a couple PowerPoint, and a copy of the law is in there, and a couple other things. And so it's really,
Sure.
it's really straightforward.
Thank you, Cindy, and thank you for,
Yeah, thank you. I did see that. I started reading it, but I didn't get too far.
okay, I'd like to entertain a motion.
I got one little
Yeah.
new business.
Sure.
I think going forward, we should look at on projects going forward.
Yeah.
Any private or public road, we need to look at cisterns. We must have something in place because like Ryan Road has one.
Yeah.
But like the project in front of us now, like 3 houses, no water supply, you know, I think we need to revisit our bylaws and see where that triggers, because it may only be 3 houses, but if your house is the one on fire, you really want to.
Do we have anything addressed for cisterns?
We must, because I know a few projects that do have them, but they're 15 houses.
Because I know my father talking about that when he built his house up in Maine, and they don't have, you know, it's all private wells. And he offered to put in a cistern on his property for the fire department.
Yeah.
And the town wouldn't let him.
What's up by you, Andrew? Laurel Woods has ponds.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they have fire ponds,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
some,
Okay.
you know, that would be, you know, I
Yeah.
guess it would be suitable, but a cistern is guaranteed, a pond is not guaranteed, so. I mean, how does the board feel about that? I mean, if you're gonna call it a private road, or you're gonna call it a
You
public
know,
road?
back when Chief Hermy, he's the guy that made those things. He would not,
Yeah,
that was, and even some people were like, well, this is a little bit overstep, but that's what he wanted on these developments for the fire protection. So that's really, whether or not it's in a bylaw or not, I don't know. But he was the one that insisted on that in order to provide the access to water.
I guess
to
it
the
could have
fire
come from one of his comments, maybe that's how they were put in, maybe we don't have anything in our
I've never
bylaw.
seen anything in the bylaw on it.
I think that was Chief Hermy.
It could be.
Really,
Maybe it was
as
like
part of
Mike gave his
just a
comments,
referral.
maybe
Or a
Chief Ernie
referral
gave his
comment?
comments and said, hey, you wanna go forward, you need a 30,000 gallon cistern.
And
You know?
maybe it's something we consider adding to the.
I think we should, really, I mean.
Yeah.
I think so too.
I don't think it's a bad idea.
Being a developer, like, I know it's a cost to the developer,
But I also know moving into building a brand new house in a development where where it's all private well, in the house across the, we were like the 7,000, just doing the house across the street and caught on fire. Didn't really know anything, we just moved in, the whole fire to call with their little pumper truck, and basically, my cousin actually an on-call firefighter, but they come with a little spray truck. And they basically said, all we're here is to keep the other property from burning down, because your house is just gonna burn down because we don't have enough water to, I mean, they literally come with a truck with water.
right? Oh, yeah, we have one.
We do the same thing, and, you know,
And then it's
and
basically-
major fires, you see that all the time, that would, you know.
So you basically said.
They just identify the line and say, we can't save those houses, but we can save these.
Yeah, that's basically.
I
what
think
they
there's
said.
interest in the.
So,
Sounds like
yeah,
there's
I
interest looking into it, right?
Yeah.
Like, we'll check the bylaw and see if there is anything.
I've never seen anything.
Yeah, nothing that I've ever read.
I was just thinking about it with this project that we have in front of us now, that like we kind of should have something, you know, like if it's gonna be called a private road or a public road, like it should be.
Yeah, especially those places, you know, on well.
You couldn't do it on a common driveway. I mean, that wouldn't be
No, it would
realistic.
need to be.
Like, it would be.
Yeah, but
Okay. Should we entertain a motion to adjourn?
Yeah.
yes, so moved.
So moved. Do we have a second?
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
anything I.
Uh,